Our two really cool stories this week. One was about practicing in bad weather. Here we are. And the second one is about being lost in the woods. Now, how in the world does that apply to you? Let's find out. Now, the first story was from a call that I was on with John Maxwell. Really cool call, mentorship call I get to have with him once a month. And he's so smart and he's full of wisdom. And he was telling a story about Gary Player, who's one of the top 10 best golfers of all time. Maybe you don't know him because he's a little bit older golfer, but Gary used to wake up on tournament days and hope and pray for bad weather, which is kind of weird. As a golfer, you don't pray for bad weather, and here I am getting ready to play in bad weather. I'm a little bit nervous. But Gary Player on tournament days would hope and pray for bad weather. Why? Well, he knew that 90% of the competition hadn't practiced in bad weather, and he did frequently. He made it a thing to practice in bad weather commonly, so when tournament days would hit, he had an advantage, a competitive advantage over the rest of the field. 90% of the competition would mentally check out, but not Gary Player. He was excited to play in the tournament. And that mentality helped him become one of the top 10 golfers of all time. Now, why do I share that with you? Because many of us haven't practiced in bad weather. In real estate and mortgage and any business, for the last 2 years, we've been playing in really nice, good weather. And now the weather's coming in and we're a little bit nervous because we haven't practiced in bad weather. Now, there's two big takeaways for that. One, obviously, Gary's strategy is amazing. Preparing in good times for bad, practicing in bad weather. And when the bad weather shows up, he's got a huge competitive advantage. Well, market storm's coming in and many of us didn't practice in bad weather, but that's all right. On to the second takeaway. But remember that next time for the next market cycle to practice in bad weather. So maybe you didn't practice in bad weather. So what? It's okay. Don't give up. Many of you are quitting before the match has even begun. Just like in the Gary Player analogy, he knew that 90% of the competition were going to quit mentally. That's the big key takeaway, guys. We can't quit mentally. Sure, the bad weather has come in. Show up. You'll be surprised at what you can accomplish when you show up with a positive attitude. Now, the second story I want to talk about is about being lost in the woods. And this was actually a friend of mine, Bill Peterson, who's an amazing leader in Oregon, told me this story this week, and it applies to us. He was telling a story about how he went hiking. He was hiking with friends, and later in the day, he actually got separated from his friends. He had been hiking for hours. He was actually lost, completely lost, which is very, very scary if you've ever been lost in the woods. He had been searching. He'd gotten to a point where down below him was kind of a swampy marshland that he couldn't really pass, and up above him were two sheer cliffs. He was really stuck, and he was really worried because the weather was starting to come in, and he didn't know what to do. So he sat down next to the tree and started wondering what he was going to do. Didn't have supplies to stay overnight, and it was not going to be a good night. So Bill sat there for a minute, and he thought to himself, most hikers are found dead next to a tree. Bill's thinking, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy. So he got up. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be another way. I missed it. So he started searching, back tracing, looking at everything again. And wouldn't you know it, he found a path that he had missed. After all those hours of searching, he found one path that led him down. And just as it was getting dark, he heard whistles and bells, for that was his friends searching for him, and he was reunited with his friends right before dark. I share that with you because some of us are sitting next to that tree right now professionally. The market shifted, weather moved in, times were great the last couple of years, and you're not really sure what to do, and you're sitting next to the tree pondering your next move. I'm here to tell you, get up from the tree. Guys, there is another way. You got to get up. You got to keep moving. You got to keep searching for another way out, another avenue. You don't want to be found next to the tree, guys. Get up from the tree.